To give us more insights in terms of how all of this entire controversy is blowing up and being perceived inside Canada, we're joined by Mr. Harrison Faulkner, who's a journalist and also host of a Ray Show on True North. He's joining us on this broadcast live from Toronto in Canada. Mr. Faulkner, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on WION. And let me start off by asking you this. This kind of very strident rhetoric on Canada, which is a sovereign republic, a nation. It's a very proud nation. It's a close ally of the United States of America. It's also a part of the Five Eyes alliance as it is described. With that being said, this kind of rhetoric that Canada can be the 51st state of the United States, referring to Trudeau as Governor Trudeau, how is this being perceived by the Canadian people then?
Well, the comments by Donald Trump are deeply upsetting to Canadians, and I think millions of Canadians find them, quite frankly, to be an insult to this country and to the people of this country. There was, for a time, some laughter, some humor that we could take at some of Donald Trump's taunts and jokes toward Justin Trudeau, but it didn't slow down. And actually, it only ramped up. After threatening to use military force to annex Greenland, Donald Trump then turned his focus to our country, as you've just shown. He described the Canada-U.S. border as an imaginary line, which he seeks to wipe out through economic force to annex this country. And then he again reiterated his desire to see Canada become the 51st state. So if there's anything Donald Trump has actually succeeded at so far with this increasingly expansionist and alarmist rhetoric here, it is that he has managed to unite Canadians. He has managed to reignite Canadian nationalism, and now you have a deeply divided parliament, a prorogued parliament, where liberals and conservatives are singing from the same hymn sheet. They are reiterating the fact that Canada is a proud, unique, constitutional monarchy, and our country will never become American.
Interesting, but you'll have to deal with Donald Trump for the next 4 years. And looking at the rhetoric that's coming in from Donald Trump and also his close aide, Elon Musk, how do you think the Canadians will, of course, try to get back at the Americans? Because quite frankly, a lot of the stuff that Donald Trump is suggesting, he's saying that Canada does not even have sovereignty and should be part of the United States of America.
Well, the way that you do this is you lean on Canada's strengths. Donald Trump has said for several weeks now that the United States subsidizes Canada, and that if Canada can't survive without the United States subsidizing the economy, which he claims to be upwards of $100 billion a year, well, then we would dissolve. He's wrong about that. It needs to be made clear as to what exactly is going on here and the nature of that trade relationship. And I'll explain how Canada can respond just in a second. The United States has given $32 million in financial aid to Canada. That's about the extent of the so-called subsidization of our country. What Donald Trump is not talking about is a trade deficit that his country has with Canada. Right. It's not $100 billion, it's $80 billion. The reason for that is because the United States purchases 4 million barrels of oil a day from Canada to keep its own country functioning. So how can Canada respond? Well, it's simple. Actually, we can respond back with our own retaliatory tariffs on oil, which would cripple the U.S. economy. It would put a big hole in Donald Trump's agenda because gas prices would go through the roof. Ontario, the biggest province, actually supplies energy to the northeastern states, Michigan, Ohio. Your audience will recognize that those states are swing states for the United States, for Donald Trump in particular. The Ontario could just shut off the lights for those states if we get into a trade war. It'll be a difficult few months for Canadians. But at the same time, what can we even do?
Interesting. We'll have to see as to have this relationship between the United States and Canada, which is often called one of the closest relationships, will progress in the next 4 years under Donald Trump within the United States. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Harris Faulkner, for joining us with that perspective there. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.